Breeze Nation, what is going on? This is your boy Jordan JC back again on the Chicago Bears Breeze, and we got a good one today because the topic that I want to talk about is obviously we saw what happened over the last 24 hours with the Chicago Bears making the final decision to move forward and letting go of OC Shane Waldron, who in the first 9 games just did not do a good job of calling plays, running schemes, improving his quarterback, and pretty much just getting the buy-in from his players. It was very clear that there had to be a decision made to move on from someone. And by all accounts, I thought that they were going to use the OC as a scapegoat. That was my personal opinion. I think that there should have been more cuts. I think obviously you know how I feel about Matt Eberflus as the head coach going forward. I feel like he should have been gone a couple of weeks ago. But with this decision, does this, in a sense, move the needle? Does this make this season any more salvageable? Does it make it any more easier to deal with? Well, let's talk about it because, in a sense, I think that it moves the needle in a direction, specifically in the matter of development, not necessarily in the matter of winning games or salvaging the season to try and get to the playoffs. That's still up in the air because obviously we still have half a season to go. We're getting into our division games. We have a big game coming up right now against our hated rivals in the Green Bay Packers this Sunday. And so there's a lot of indications of whether or not, hey, what will happen with this season? What will happen with the Bears? Will they recover or will they continue to regress? Well, I'll say this. With the hiring of Thomas Brown being promoted from pass game coordinator to OC, obviously you know that he initially was interviewed to be one of the candidates for the offensive coordinator position before they went with officially picking Shane Waldron. They still continue to have him on the squad. And so the question is, will Thomas Brown come in and actually make a difference? Well, I'll put it like this. I think that at the very least, when you hear him in the press conference, one thing that I came away with that I was at least impressed by was his leadership and the stature that he had with confidence and the fact that he is very direct. And that's something that he even mentioned in his press conference. He said, "Hey, what is your goal or what are you looking to try and change when it comes to this team? How do you think you're going to interact with Caleb Williams when it comes to trying to improve on the play calling and just the game and scheming up for these different games coming up in the latter part of the season?" He said, "Well, first and foremost, I'm always going to be me." And I love that answer because he is a very direct, he is a very straightforward, honest person. He's about his business. If you've seen a few videos of him, he demands the room. He's somebody who actually speaks his mind, very good leadership qualities. And I'm gonna be honest with you, without the resume, I'm not trying to go crazy here, but he almost sounds like a young Mike Tomlin. And that's the kind of confidence that you want to have. Night and day when it came to Shane Waldron and the way he came off in his press conference. Seemed a little shaky, seemed always very unaware of himself, seemed very coach speakish, said the right things. Obviously, every time there was always a question about what do you think you need to do to improve the team, there was always the same cliche answer of, hey, everybody's got to be on the same page. We got to tighten up on our assignments, got to tighten up on our roles. We got to be more efficient in the pass game, the run game. All three phases of this team, the offense, defense, and special teams have to execute. It's always the same coach speak. Execution. Got to play better. Got to play tighter. Look inward. Look at your man. Look at yourself, and then look at the man next to you. Got to take accountability, right? All those buzzwords, right, that we always hear. Word salad galore with him and Matt Eberflus. But what I like that was more refreshing about Thomas Brown is said, hey, he's not going to try and reinvent the wheel. He's not coming in here to, make some sort of fireworks show coming into this game against Green Bay. But what he is going to do is try to simplify the game and try to make sure that they start up front, which is with the run game. And of course, if we have to go back to that old school type of Chicago Bears football where the run game is dominant and you feed off of that with the play action pass and having more passes thrown when you've gotten your run game actually down packed in the game, nothing wrong with that. The problem is still going to be whether or not you can still get your run game going because of the line that we have. Now, reports are that we're getting healthy. You saw Braxton Jones and Darnell Ryder practicing. We picked up Ricky Stromberg. I thought that was a decent under-radar pick. He's somebody who probably can be a little bit more helpful when it comes to the center position. They put him on the practice squad. Obviously, they just let go of Nate Davis, who, thank goodness, that's a guy that was filling up a roster spot, somebody who did not show effort, who did not really care, in my opinion, to be here and to give his all. A talented a guard in his own right by the numbers and by PFF grades, but you never saw it because he was never really readily available on the field, and he just didn't give a max effort. And so that's what we want from this team is max effort from these players. A lot of rumors going on right now about how a lot of the players, whether it be some that are at the lower part of the team, are not just playing up to their potential and are not working hard from Monday through Friday. And I think that's one of the things that Thomas Brown emphasized as well is that, hey, it's not just about being there and being ready on Sunday. It's about the preparation and the execution Monday through Friday. He said, hey, we're going to try and train and practice as humanly possible, as hard as humanly possible, so that when it comes to game time, when it comes to that game on Sunday, it may come off a little easier. And that's what you want to hear. You want to make sure that everybody is still bought in as they say they are by making sure they're practicing, putting forth max effort, and doing the little things. It's always the little things that add up to a big win. And I think that's what's lost on this team is that, you when you hear guys like Keenan Allen just come out straightforward, and I love it too, by him saying, hey, maybe he's a little bit too nice. Speaking of Shane Waldron, and in the beginning of the season, when you're continuously just too nice and you let certain things kind of just fall off and fly under the radar when it comes to assignments and discipline and principles, then those things kind of carry over into the season week after week after week, and then you're starting to see subpar performances from your entire team. You're starting to see a lackadaisicalness from Monday through Friday in practice. You're starting to see certain players not prepare as hard as others and the leaders of this team. When Johnson talks about, you're a guy who feels like, hey, after practice is over, you spend a few more minutes getting in some work, getting in some reps, working out a little bit more, making sure you have attention to detail for your assignments and your role coming Sunday. But then you see others that are just walking away and are just getting ready to do whatever they want to do for the rest of the day. Like, is everybody bought in? And that's why when you heard that word preparation at the beginning of the season from Matt Eberflus, to me, it sounded good. But again, you can see the proof is not in the pudding. Or rather, proof is in the pudding because what we see is not what we were told. And that's important is if this is going to move the needle, we need to see some sort of progress starting now. And I think that there's a possibility that we can see that. Now, I think that this moves the needle in the way of development, as I said, if Caleb gets back on track. If we see a more assured, accurate, more competent Caleb Williams versus the last three games. After that week off, I don't know what happened. Maybe a lot of reports are saying that the coaches are getting in his head and maybe they're telling him, hey, don't screw up, don't screw up, don't throw passes and that can lead to interceptions. Now, we see that he hasn't thrown an interception in a while, but he also hasn't thrown a touchdown in a while as well. And so that's concerning. He's still sitting at 9 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He's had that for quite some time now. And so do we see a progression or do we see a regression versus Green Bay? This is going to tell a lot. This is going to be a huge test. Going into the division game, we obviously know the Packers are not just a walkover team. They're a very good team, and they're always going to challenge you because they have a great offensive-minded coach in Matt LaFleur. They have a really good defense. You got Xavier McKinney, John saying that DJ Moore is not committed to this team and that, he's throwing his quarterback under the bus and he's not playing for him because he walked off on the sidelines. They're trying to get in this Bears head. And so we need to make sure that we are as prepared as possible for this game and going forward. And I think that Thomas Brown specifically, I think that he will do his part in actually getting people prepared. You can see that he has that sort of bravado about him. And at the very least, I can lean on that and be confident in that. There's one thing that I never was confident in with Shane Waldron, and it was the way he came off. It was almost as if it was like, hey, I'm the nice guy. Everybody, let's get along. The image of him smiling while they're getting the heads beat in and Caleb Williams just looking off into the distance, just shaking his head, tells me everything I need to know. And so can this team get back on track? We will see. It will be a miracle, just like the Washington game. It will be a Hail Mary. It will be a prayer if the Bears somehow, some way, find a way to win these games and get into playoff contention. But then at the same time, does that mean that Matt Eberflus keeps his job? See, that's the conundrum. Are you saying that you want these games to matter and you want them to win versus, okay, well, let's burn it down. And clearly, if we lose going forward and we lose pretty much out, we're not winning any more games, but we see a little bit of progression from Caleb. We see improvement. Then we can say, okay, Matt Eberflus is gone. You retain Thomas Brown, but now we're bringing in a whole new regime and coaching candidate in here. And so that's always been the issue is the carousel of coaches versus quarterbacks. Or we didn't pick this quarterback, or this is not my head coach that I had for this guy. And so that's the only problem. And so simply put, I feel like this season can be salvaged if Caleb Williams, number one, goes out there and plays freer, plays simpler, and make sure that he gives what he takes what the defense gives him. You know, throw those short yardage plays. Be accurate. Make sure you're not hesitating on your throws. Get your superstars involved. Him and DJ Moore. DJ Moore said that, him and Caleb talked the other day, and they seem to be on the same page, and there are things that they're going to work on. Well, let's see that. Let's see that. Let's see Cole Kmet get back involved in this game. Let's see a number of receptions to your stars. That's exactly what is needed. And so hopefully that's what we'll get back on track. I think that this season can be a W in the sense of if Caleb continues to grow into the player and into the quarterback that we envision him being. Maybe not for this year because this season is technically lost, but making sure that we see a competent quarterback that is understanding how to play hero ball, but also understanding how to take what the defense gives him and is okay with being doing the dink and dunk plays, simplifying the game, dumbing the game down in a sense in order to win. And so I want to get you guys' thoughts on that. Do you think that this season is lost? Do you think that this decision, the move that obviously Thomas Brown being the new offensive coordinator, does this move the needle? How do you all feel about that? Do you think that this should have been just only a part of the firings? Obviously, you know how I feel about Matt Eberflus. Let me know how you guys feel. And as always, if you like this video, show some class. Comment, like, and subscribe. Share this video with others. I'll see you guys on the next Bears Breeze.